Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back! Stand up, fight back!
Glasgow, but people of internationally, because this is only our mother, no other way. What do we want? When do we want it? What do we want? When do we want it? Whose streets? Whose planet? Black lives matter!
Black lives matter!
Migrant lives matter!
Migrant lives matter!
Black lives matter!
Black lives matter!
Migrant lives matter!
Migrant lives matter!
I would like to say something about Syria and about Middle East in general. What is happening now is very upsetting, especially in Syria. The blood, the children, the wives, a lot of people are dying, coming to here, and the problem is they are coming through all these difficulties, and when they come here, they don't have a good place to live or to just sleep. And I would like to pray for all the people who died in this war. Some people, they just didn't have any hand in that, but we cannot say anything. And about Iran or about all the countries, they have poverty, they have all those problems. We would like to say sorry for that, because we are here. This is not meaning that we cannot do anything. We can say, we can see, and we can put our voice here and say something about it. Because all those people are coming here for one reason, for one purpose. Our lives is matter. Even if we are here from Glasgow or from any country, we are here now to say about those people who are dying without any reason. Thank you. I'm from Syria, and I came from Syria, and I did a lot of, I traveled a lot, and I know how people, they are feeling when they come here and they don't have any place to live, or they don't have anyone to support them. And thank God I had this support from Glasgow, and I want a lot of people to know that when they come here, they will have support when we speak about it. If we don't speak about it, no one will help them. Thank you guys, and
Thank you, my sibling from Syria. So what did we say? Syrian life matter because our government policy go to Afghanistan, bombing, and then in their hospital, their housing. They not come here because looking for better life, because our policy, because our bomb, because our rocket.
Hey, hey. Come grab this mic. Mr. Lumix, come here, come here.
Okay.
Sam, please.
Come on, Sam!
Come on, Sam. This way, Sam, come on. Let me do the mic. There you go. It'll get louder as you speak. Just keep talking.
My brother and sister, let's make a noise. Woo! My name's Sam from West Papua. If you didn't know about West Papua, which is illegally occupied by criminal fascist regime of Indonesia. So same regime, what happened, my brother and sister, in Kurdistan by fascist regime of Turkey. So same criminal regime who are oppressed my sibling in Palestinian. Same what happened in my sibling in Afghanistan because our policy, our prime minister to make fake document and go to war in Afghan. Because they want to continue their policy colonizing and recolonizing. Because they need your oil, they need our gold, they need our comfort to build this country with our blood. How to liberate people cannot come this country. When from Afghanistan to Palestine, from Palestine to West Papua to Aborigine. Also my brother and sister in Chile, today still have protests on the street. Also my sibling in Colombia still have a protest because police brutality. Why? The question, who support them, who train them? Same policy, same government in this country. So as people, we need to say louder and clear, refugee welcome, but we need to stop that dishonest government policy. Because you cannot say climate change without tell about colonization, what happened every oppressed people. Because they use our public tax to send bomb. And then what? If in West Papua, I have experience when I have protests in mining company, what they do? They will deal with me with a bullet, real bullet. But how about you? You have democracy. So speak louder. When you speak louder, you don't save yourself, but you save all entire indigenous people. Because indigenous people and you are our voice, you are our messenger, you are our liberator. So we need to collaborate, unify, indigenous, working class, as citizens of the world. Let's liberate each other. So when I say, whose power, our power? People power. People power. People power. People power. People power. People power. When people say, because people have a power, we are grateful. The example, what look like people power, which is been told on mainstream media, when my brother and sister from Scotland stop the police car, that's called people power. If they can make it, we can make it. Thank you, my brother and sister, for listening. But don't forget to tell your family, your friend, you cannot talk for the climate justice without liberate oppressed people, without take the stand, mobilize, organize every multinational corporation office to tell them stop genocide, stop killing, stop rape of women and children, stop use green capitalists, and at the same time you need lithium. So where you will go? You will come to our land, you will rape our mother, you will kill our family, and then you take our resources, and then you poison our river, and then fish will be dying, all the trees will be dying. If you collapse one person, you will collapse one structure of the world, you collapse everything. Nothing left. Only what left? Humanity. What we do? Fight back. So last, just want to say thank you for the people who are organized this event. You are directly, 90% you spend your time, your energy to organize for 2 weeks for us to give a chance to speak about our voice. We love you. Let's make a noise to say thank you. Also, thank you for every activist, even from climate change to radical. We need to unify in one common to save our planet. We need to unify, stand together, fight for our Mother Earth, include to save our generation will come and will born. Thank you for listening. Free, free. When I say free, you say West Papua. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. When you say free, you need to say free for migrant. You need to say free for my brother and sister from Black Jamaican who has given their life to build this country. Also my brother and sister from Middle East who are building country, because we are working 0 hours to cleaning your building, to cleaning your university, and then you have better life. Without us, you don't exist, because we need, if you exist, we need to exist each other. That's called humanity, that's called people power. Thank you for listening. Solidarity. If anyone wants to give it speed, please come in.
Sam, somebody else talk. 1 minute.
Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Harpreet. I'm a member of Tipping Point and Wretched of the Earth. I want to thank every one of you for being here today. I want to remember the over 1,000 people who lost their lives trying to cross the Mediterranean. I want us to recall how we arrived at this system, where the clothes that we're wearing, the phones that we're using, create the conditions for precarity all around the world. How we arrived at a system where countries that were impoverished by colonialism and now by extractivism and capitalism struggle without access to water, food, housing, the right to move, while our countries stand in Glasgow and call themselves world leaders. World leaders in what? World leaders in failing to take responsibility for the past which created a context of poverty that forces people to move from their homes, and a continuation. We've got a context where over 500,000 children in Madagascar are struggling to eat. 300,000 people in the DRC experiencing flooding, while we emit and consume, and this has to change. Thinking about repairing those systems means repairing the systems that forces people to move, and it means repairing the borders and the fences and the hostile environment that people are forced to experience when they come here. The hostile environment in our education system, in our housing system, in our health system. Let's move away from this system and say we deserve well-being. We deserve to eat, we deserve to have water, we deserve to have green energy, we deserve to live together in care, no matter who we are, no matter where we came from. Let's build it. Another world is possible.
Right, though I'm super glad to see all of you here, right? Centering climate justice, which means migrant justice as well, you guys need to speak to others of your kind, my white brothers and sisters. Yes? We need to center reparations. The reason why that's essential is for countries in the South world to be able to turn green the same time as the North world does. Because if it doesn't happen that way, watch the North world turn green overnight and then start saying, well, South World, you're the problem. You're the problem all the time. Remember, they'll be selling all their old shitty cars, all their old shitty technology to continents like Africa to still make their money while trying to make out they're green as fuck. I'm going to be a bit selfish here. As you can tell, I am a descendant of the African continent. I'm an Afro-Caribbean. My family's from Grenada. It's the best island in the whole lot. I'm just saying that, right? But the score is, across the Caribbean, you have roughly 20 million people living there, right? The score is, we're talking about this stupid 1.5 to survive, right? We know that under 1.5 is dangerous to huge amounts of countries and small island nations around the world. It's not looking good, people. It's looking like we're going to be over 1.5. Where's the discussion about 20 million of my relatives, my family from the Caribbean, where are they going to go? How are they going to be sustained? Are they going to be welcomed? Do we look like the people that should be welcomed? Well, fuck yes, we should be. Reparations is about equaling up after years and years of oppression and extractivism. This is why we live the way we live, and I accept that on the back of my ancestors. Oh, pop. I accept on the back of my ancestors, I have a fantastic lifestyle because I was born in England.
No need to be ashamed. We are not here. They were only here because they were there. No need to be ashamed.
I hear you, but it's still England. And though I'm making you laugh, I want to remind all of you, it's your job to explain to people what colonialism does. It's your job to explain to people that colonialism didn't start in the South World, it started in Great Britain, with the Welsh, with the Scots, with the Irish. We have to do something. We have an obligation to the future generations. We have an obligation to the South World. And I expect you lot to front up.
Yeah, thanks to Yvonne, who always encourages me to speak and who's always behind me as my Scottish auntie.
Jamaican, I should correct.
Sorry, for me, I'm not from here, so you're more from here than I am. Sorry. So I'm just here to remind you folks that there is no climate justice without migrant justice, but there is no climate justice without disability justice, and without queer liberation as well. So there's a saying in Jewish Tunisian, so in Judeo-Arabic, which is a language that is almost disappearing thanks to colonization. That says, it is not because you're invisible that you should not be remembered. So when you go back home tonight, I hope you can think of all the invisible people that do the hard work, and yeah, those who are not shown because the world is not set up for them, who can't show up because there is no ramp or no room, or just because they're too busy making food, doing paperwork, caring for the kids, doing all the little invisible tasks that allow us to be standing here fed and warm and dressed. So yeah, remember that the West brought the gender binary. They they brought to the ableist culture and the capitalist culture. So if we want to undo that, you can't do that without us. So yeah, I know no one planned for the Crips to be alive for the revolution, but here we are. So just and please remember that disabled migrants exist, queer migrants exist, LGBTQ migrants are a thing. So black and brown people with disability who are neurodivergent are a thing, and it's not because they're invisible that they don't exist. So make room for us, and yeah.
Disability justice is climate justice. Disability justice is climate justice. We matter. Disability lives matter. I am disabled myself. I have autism. And I just want to say that I want to send my solidarity out to my amazing sister. Come here. I want to say I love you so much. This is what solidarity is all about, brothers and sisters and non-binary clan. This is what we are about. Disability lives matter. We need to be heard. We are the most marginalised group, and then we'll do you know what? We work intersectionally with migrant justice, and we will rise. We will be heard, and we will rebel, and we will fight back, because we are the people. We will make war. We will do this. And I just want to say, I was so moved by your contribution, by me. You really are just all we need to hear in this space. And thank you so much. Thank you. Please, love each other, accept people who have got autism, accept people who have got disabilities in your space, work with them, and we can work together. We can collaborate and make sure your actions are accessible for all people, so that we can contribute into this space, because we matter and we want to stand in solidarity with you every single way. We love you, we care for you, and we just want to say, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And welcome to the territories of the newly declared govern-free state. We invite you to declare yourself welcome.
And I'll begin to read our Declaration of Independence, Interdependence and Radical Dependence. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bonds which have connected them with another, respect for humankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to this separation.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all beings are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the chance to fulfill their evolutionary potential, that to secure these rights, the natural laws of ecology bring equilibrium and fairness to all. These laws alone are preeminent.
In human terms, governments are instituted amongst people deriving their power from the consent of the governed. Whenever any system of government becomes destructive of liberty, equality and survival, thereby threatening the existence of all life, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish this form of government.
Our causes are these: centuries of colonialism, imperialism, and capitalism have impoverished most of the world, destroyed cultures and ways of being and knowing which have been millennia in the making, devastated ecosystems and biospheres, and led to the genocide of so many human and more than human beings that our hearts simply cannot fathom the scale of the loss and the pain. every single life lost so far in the name of profit and imperial expansion is a crime. At this precise moment in time, we are now teetering on the edge of a complete devastation of all life on our common home, Earth.
The stable system that kept all alive without endangering the future has been turned on its head in the interests of a selfish few. In this land, Scotland, 500,000 people were cruelly evicted and deprived of what was rightfully theirs. Many were deported to the colonies to drive the process of enclosure even further and inflict the same pains on other people of the earth. Those that remained had no choice but to flock to the cities and become part of the working class.
The age of industry is now dead and our labour no longer needed. We live poor lives on the pittance given to us from the profits we have raised, dependent on handouts from those that deprived us of our rightful inheritance. Many of us have lost the self-respect needed by free people.
Not content with owning and destroying the land, the powerful seek to stymie our protests and ban access to our own city. A city in which motorways continue to tear up our communities and exclude those with the least.
We take this step with great reluctance, and it is our intention to maintain peaceful and respectful relations with Her Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom, and to continue good relations with the Scottish Government and Glasgow City Council. Nevertheless, it is our view that the workings and functions of the capitalist state and all its institutions globally, nationally and locally mean it is simply not possible to achieve a socially just and ecologically regenerative future within the bounds of these structures. Compelled by the need to meet the interests of a global transnational class, our democratic institutions continue to make decisions which are unfair, destructive and oppressive, and their behaviour so unreasonable in the face of our appeals for a livable, just world that we face no choice but to separate and determine our own future.
Democracy, the will of the people, has not been used. More mindless economic growth will generate still more of the sickness that it claims to alleviate. We therefore maintain that the global threat to our environment and liberty from the powerful is incompatible with the sustainable environmental use and any notion of democracy.
Finally, we the people of a new state, the govern-free state, do solemnly publish and declare ourselves to be forthwith absolved of all allegiance to the British Crown and our autonomous territory, henceforth to be known as the govern-free state.
We call on all people who share our beliefs, ideals and aspirations to declare their own independence, interdependence and radical dependence, to decolonise their territories however they might define them.
We no longer find it reasonable to put our faith elsewhere. There is no one coming. There is only us. And for us, that means each other in Greater Govan on Glasgow's south side.
We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes and our honour. We fight not for glory, nor riches, nor honours, but for freedom alone. With this statement we say, declare yourself welcome!
Hi. How y'all doing? Are you cold yet? I'll keep it short then. But before I start, I just want to give a short shout out to the stewards who kept this march safe from Climate Camp Scotland and Extinction Rebellion Scotland, and a massive shout out to Scalp, who've provided legal observers to keep this march safe. Thank you guys. My name's Wung, I work for the COP26 Coalition, and I'm here because I want to support my amazing friend Yvonne, but I also want to acknowledge that these have been 2 really difficult weeks for lots of us, and there's a lot of reasons for these. One of them is, as you all know, this COP26 was one of the least inclusive, most exclusionary, least transparent climate conferences in the history of climate conferences. And one of the reasons for that you can see right here, right now, which is the Home Office, who barred thousands and thousands of activists, of frontline communities, of indigenous peoples from coming here to raise their voice and to be heard. That is their fault, and that is what we need to abolish before we can have climate justice.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Thank you. But yeah, the COP26 Coalition, we've established a visa support service, a housing network to house activists from abroad coming here, help them to travel here, to navigate the incredible rules, the incredibly complicated rules of the Home Office that no one of us could navigate on our own. But that is something to celebrate, that is solidarity, but that is also not our job as activists. Our job as activists is not to deal with these kind of things. That is something we had to do because the state has failed us, because the UK government has made things so complicated and so hostile to everyone coming in, because the Scottish government didn't step up, and because Glasgow City Council didn't step up to this responsibility. And that needs to be remembered after this. That the people in Glasgow and the people in Govan Hill have done more than all 3 layers of government together to welcome the international climate movement. And the second thing I want to acknowledge that was really difficult for a lot of us is the police. The police over these 2 weeks have been intimidating, have been hostile, and have been out in such a force that made actions impossible for climate activists, for migrant justice activists, for people on the picket line striking for their working conditions. The police have been intimidating us, and they have been much more successful than we wanted them to be. And that is something that we need to push back against after this together. And that is why it's so important to have solidarity from climate activists for this march, because a lot of migrants and lots of refugees and asylum seekers who wanted to be here can't be here because they were afraid of what the police is going to do, what the police is going to say. And that is what we need to remember. Lots of people who would stand with us are not safe to do so before the police pulls back and is abolished, before the Home Office is gone. There will be no justice before the police is abolished as a whole. And there's no justice before the Home Office is abolished as a whole. And there's no justice before the British state is abolished as a whole. These difficulties acknowledged, there's also a lot to celebrate, and that is what I want to end on, because we organized together, trade unionists, climate activists, migrant justice groups, faith groups. We have pulled together to organize one of the biggest marches Scotland has ever seen during COP26 in Glasgow. And one of the And one of the people who made it possible stands right here, right now. That is Yvonne from Moore. Yvonne, with other people like Zarina, like Pinar from the Maryhill Integration Network, they brought together all of the Scottish diaspora for the biggest migrant justice and anti-racism blog Glasgow has ever seen. So, I want to have the biggest, loudest cheer for Yvonne, for all the incredible work you're doing. You defend your community, you defend your people, but you also unite with everyone else to fight for justice. And that is something we all need to do. We all need to strive to be like Yvonne, to be like Zarina, to be like Pinar, to fight for our communities, but for everyone else's communities too, to stand in solidarity, and that is what solidarity looks like. So thanks Yvonne, and thanks for everyone in the migrant justice community. So the COP26 coalition is going to end after tomorrow, and we've been coming together for a specific purpose, and that purpose has ended. But what needs to endure is everything we've built, all the bridges between our different parts of our movements, between trade unionists, between school strikers, to climate justice activists, to frontline and indigenous communities, and to the migrants in this city, in this country. We all need to stand together and fight the same things, because they are all interlinked, and that is something you all need to take home and remember. And see you next time. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I'm from Afghanistan, a former refugee. Right now I'm a campaigner and activist for the rights of asylum seekers and refugees. I fled, this is very relevant. We're standing in front of the Home Office 20 years ago, 21 years ago when we arrived in Glasgow. So this institution will go after the kids and women 3 o'clock in the morning carrying dawn raids. Because we're here and I want to make it relevant to this place. They will carry out dawn raids 3 o'clock in the morning, pick up children, separate them from their parents, and put them in Dangeval detention center, and then deport them to their countries. The very countries where British and American are bombing them. I fled from Afghanistan, from the barbarians, Taliban, and Britain and America went to war against the Taliban, fought against them for 20 years. Many British soldiers were killed, American were killed, but no one talks about the Afghans. That 300,000 or 400,000 Afghans were killed. After 20 years, what Britain and America did was brought back the same barbarian, abandoned the Afghans, and left 3 o'clock in the morning. It is not only about the Afghans, it is about the millions of refugees. When we were walking on the streets of London and Glasgow, when the war criminal Tony Blair was giving a speech in SACC, where the climate summit is happening, and when the 9/11, the sad incident happened, innocent people were killed, then the world declared war against, Iraq, Afghanistan. When we and you, many of you are quite young here, and I'm very proud to be speaking to you, you're the future. When we were telling the war criminal George W. Bush and Tony Blair that the war in Iraq was illegal, innocent people are going to be killed, and we were told no, Iraq is in danger, and Britain is 45 minutes away from a nuclear attack by Saddam Hussein. Later we found out that it was an illegal war, no weapons of mass destruction, but what happened was killing 1 million innocent Iraqis, displacing the entire population of Iraq, Afghanistan. Then we had the war in Libya, again by Britain, America, and the French, displacing millions of Libyans, destroying their country. We have the war in Syria, where the Syrian people are butchered on the daily basis. We have British weapons produced in Scotland and other parts of Britain, not far away from here, about 80 or 90 miles away, sold to the fascist and brutal regime in Saudi Arabia, then killing innocent young women and children in Yemen. And when the same victims of British and American wars come to this country, They are told, if you come by the back of the lorry or by boat or dinghy under the fascist, Priti Patel policy or racist policy by Priti Patel implemented by this institution, you will be in prison for 4 or 5 years under the current legislation. If you come to this country illegally, because all the legal routes are shut, it is closed, that no one can come. You see the police, you don't find any Scottish police here. None of them is here, none of them know the streets. They're just me and you like you, using their mobiles, finding the streets where they go. The bill for the police, the COP26 is over £200 million. Over £200 million. That is the bill for the police and this COP26. And when we, the poor, the homeless in this country, where the pensioners are, suffering, can I tell you how much an asylum seeker, apart from the activists, how much an asylum seeker get every week? How much? Every week? £37 a week. Not allowed to work, not allowed the choice of accommodation. If you want accommodation in the south side, you're not allowed. If you want in the east end of Glasgow, or the west or the north, you will take whatever accommodation the Home Office give. And these are the accommodation which is run down. The Home Office itself says in their report, the Home Office Select Committee, that accommodation for asylum seeker is not fit for purpose. It is their statistics, they issue the statistics, and it says the accommodation that asylum seekers are given, it is not fit for purpose. So thank you, keep the good work. But all I want to say is, if Britain, we have a lot of races and many races in this country, including institutional racism, racism in sports and education, and every other, institution we have racism. If Britain want less asylum seekers in this country, they should bomb less countries. They should not remove regimes. They should not launch illegal wars. They should not sell weapons to rogue regimes, to the terrorists and the war criminals and the warlords and the drug lords. If you see around, everywhere Britain and America went, America is #1, causing problem around the world, and Britain is, number 2. Everywhere America went, the British followed, and they changed regime, kill innocent people, empowered the most corrupt, the warlords, the drug lords, the bandit, the rapist, the killer, the mass murderers, they empower them. But the very victims, when they come to this city and they come to Britain, Priti Patel the other day said, asylum seekers want to come and live in our hotel. What is wrong with you? If she doesn't think they think about her parents. When her parents or grandparents were told that, you only have 24 hours to live. Either you live, I think it was Uganda, she was told, or her grandparents were told, that you have 24 hours to live. Either you die here or you leave. So her grandparents arrive in this country, and this country welcomed them. But the same person, the same generation is, hostile to immigrants, hostile to black people, hostile to Muslims, carrying out dawn raids. I'm very proud I'm one of those people where you march from Kenmare Street. I was one of the people who mobilized the community, stopped this institution, and on that particular day, 2 asylum seekers were not deported. So keep the good work. God bless you. Thank you.
Daniel, go for it.
Shame on you! 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 Shame on you!
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
Keep it going, keep it going. Shame on you, Home Office!
Shame on you! 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 Shame on you!
Shame on you! Shame on you!
Is that enough?
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you everybody so much for coming here today. I just wanted to touch off where Mohammed left off in terms of how Britain's warlike state has created more asylum seekers and more immigrants in this day and age. And we have to connect it with the climate crisis as well. If we look at the 2 new massive Royal Navy aircraft carriers that have just been sent to actually provoke war in the South China Sea, we do not know what extent these guys are going to actually try to throw any bombs or go into any sort of airspace that'll cause provocations. These carriers, called the Victoria and the Tide Springs, will have fuel that burns diesel for their propulsion. This intentionally brings out to far more carbon emissions that this country has already put out into the world historically and as it currently stands. Carbon emissions are not the only impact that the British military has in the environment. Both of these military vessels are basically going to destroy mammals that live in certain specific habitats, that are going to have scientific studies going to look at how extinction is actually going to be further increased by this dredging of sandbanks, by any new ports being built, especially near places like Oman. In Kenya, which is where I'm from, the British Army has access to 9 training grounds, and nobody talks about this. These are blacklisted sites that they never want to have in the news because of how much of your taxpayer dollars, or pounds rather, are going into fueling these places. The animals that were recently near one of these 9 bases had burnt to a crisp. UK soldiers caused 6 bushfires already this year. We've been seeing the fires in America, we've been seeing the fires in Greece, and we've been seeing the fires in the Arctic Circle. That is not something that is normal. Fires completely scorch the earth, hence the scorched earth policy that the British Army is still infusing in its own policy right now. Now, the government has argued that there's no jurisdiction to hear the lawsuit from people who died from these fires. And I really think that the Home Office is not going to allow the people who had to leave and have had to flee to come into this country. They're never going to make it that easy, guys. And that's why, like Juan said, we have to keep the fight going. The COP26 coalition might be coming to an end, but we're not fucking going anywhere. We must stay here. We must make as much noise as possible, and we must use the voices that we have right now to make it as succinct as possible that we're not going to go anywhere. The sea level's about to be rising, but so are we! When the planet is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. When refugees are under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. When Glasgow is under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. And one more thing I love about Glasgow is, what do we say about refugees? Say it louder, say it clearer. Say it louder, say it clearer. Say it louder, say it clearer. Thank you very much, Glasgow.
Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here!